Hello and welcome to Statistics, Math Ampersand 146. I will be your instructor for summer quarter. My name is Dion Alexander, and I am here to help you as we navigate through this summer quarter, which I have to tell you right in the beginning, it is going to be fast, okay? Because we have to get done 12 weeks of work, which was what we would have for a normal quarter in 8 weeks. All right. So for this class, first things first is that you can expect to be doing uh, some sort of an assignment Monday through Thursday. So hopefully you've got my message in Canvas and you've made it to the home page. All right. And this is a tutorial to help you um, get through the home page. So before you get this getting started here, you're going to have if you're watching this, you've seen that introductory video. That's this first tab. All right. Once you watch this video, and I'm going to have to put this on the instructor so you guys can see, like this introductory video was going to be first, and then you have all of the material in the getting started module. Okay, so the first thing first is looking at your syllabi, in which you're going to see the expectations of this course as well as um, how you can get an A in the class. All right, so the best way to get a hold of me is you can just message me right in Walmart. So in Walmart, if you come over here to your tiles, you have a message right at the top. If you just click on that, just select myself, Professor Alexander, then you can send me a message if you need to send me a personal message. But you can see in the syllabus as well, I have my Tacoma CC email as well. Okay, so if you need to make an appointment, you gotta just do that by you gotta set that up to see me. I don't have office hours as I'm not on campus, but I am readily available through Zoom and through email. Okay, so you can expect anytime you email me, you can expect me to respond within 24 hours. Even on the weekends, I do check my email, but it probably won't be as quick sometimes. But Monday through Thursday, you definitely should get a response from me within 24 hours. All right, so I'm not going to read the syllabi verbatim. Okay, I'm gonna just touch on some of the key points. And so the next point to understand is that this is an OER class, so the textbook is embedded into the course, so you don't need to purchase a text. You will need a graphing calculator. So we ask that you get a TI 83 or 84 because most of the tools that we will use, those calculators are very efficient with that. If you don't want to go out and buy $160 calculator, you can always rent one of these from the Mark. That's called the SimMac now. So it's the same thing, but you can get those from there. You can rent it for the whole quarter for $20. All right. So again, you can look through the course learning objectives and what you expected to learn, on your own. This class is not a synchronous Zoom, so there will not be no times where you and I are meeting on Zoom. This is a fully online class. So one thing is that people think once a class is online, there's this big old myth that, oh, I don't have to spend as much time on the class. Well, that's just not true. In fact, online classes can be even harder because you're not given that instruction, that daily reminders of what's due and things like that. So for this class, you should expect to spend about 12 to 15 hours a week working on this class. Okay, so you should be logging in daily, checking out what's going on. So this is a weighted class, and so we have four categories. We have textbook reading notes. So these are going to be handwritten notes that you take from each section of the course that you read. Then we're going to have online homework. This is going to be 35% of your grade. These problems will closely relate to what you read in the textbook. You should always get 100% on the homework because if you miss a question, you can go back and retry it. Quizzes are going to be 30% of your overall grade. There will be a quiz for every chapter in the book, with the exception of chapter 10, as that information will be on our final. So you see this in bold. No late passes are allowed on quizzes. What is a late pass? Well, a late pass is if textbook reading and the homework is due, let's say today, and you're not going to be able to get to it. You can put in a late pass to do those assignments. Now, what a late pass will do is it will extend that due date to 48 hours. It won't extend to when you put it in, it's from that date. So if the assignment was due yesterday and you're trying to use a late pass, you still have the 24-hour window because you're going to get 48 hours once you put your late pass in. But just because you're using it today and it was due yesterday, it's not going to extend it 48 hours from today. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. And lastly, we're going to have a final exam in this class. It's going to be comprehensive. That just means it's going to go over everything we go over this quarter. That is going to be on Thursday, August the 14th at 3 p.m. So you need to make sure you block that out. One other thing about the quizzes is that the quizzes will open up a day prior to their due date. So they're going to open up, I think, at 10 a.m. a day prior, and then they will close at 11:59 p.m. on their due date. All right. So I just talked about the late passes. You know, thing is that we have 70 different assignments and you're only going to get 30 late passes. So you got to make sure you use those wisely, and making sure that you are understanding that, you know, this quarter, again, is going to be pretty quick. So you just want to make sure you're planning, utilizing your calendar, and staying on top of your assignments. It's, you know, it is in your best interest to work ahead. That's why I'm opening the course a week early, so that you can get ahead in the course so that you don't have to worry about falling behind. So grading, again, we're focusing on A's, right? Here's the column we're looking at right here, A and A minus. All right. If you decide to withdraw, make sure you do it correctly so that you don't have to owe the college if you get out of there when you're supposed to. And then last thing I want to show you is that we have a calendar on the bottom of the last couple of pages of the syllabus. And again, it might look intimidating at first, but once you kind of get going in your rhythm, you're going to see the flow of the class. And it's just a matter of you setting those schedules and sticking to your schedule. All right. So next, after you go through the syllabus, I have a video about a growth mindset. And this is optional. You don't have to look at it, but it just really gives you a lot of tips and tricks on how to be successful, particularly in an online class. Next, you're going to have to do this getting started tutorial. It's just helping you as you navigate through WallMap, especially if you're new to WallMap and you never used WallMap. This tutorial will help you with that. Next, I'm going to ask you to do an introduction. In your introduction, here's a couple of bullet points I want you to follow. You can get some extra credit in your introduction if you put a profile picture of yourself up, so I know who I'm communicating with throughout the quarter. You're not required to respond to any of your classmates, but you can if you want to. Okay. Next, you're going to have to do a calculator assignment. That's just an upload showing that you have your calculator. If you have to download one on your phone for right now, you know, those are limited as well, but I do have some of the better ones to use. If you're an Android user, your Calc 84 is a good one. And if you're an iPhone user, your Graph in Calc 83 is a good one. However, you know, neither of these calculators have all of the functions we're going to need with the TI-84 graphing calculator. So, you know, at some point you have to either purchase one, dig up an old one that you or a family member may have, or go to the sim and rent one. Okay. Lastly, in the getting started, you can get an extra credit assignment, which is our symbols assignment. So one thing I want to show you about this. So first of all, you're going to have an information sheet on what's being asked for you. Okay. And it's telling you to enter these three equations right here, 1, 2, and 3. That the first thing you want to do is you want to press this sigma plus button. It's a new math symbol so that you can enter it. And then this is the entry you want to put for what, you know, these formulas that you're trying to type. So when you go to this assignment and you click on the assignment, first off, you're going to give it a name, extra credit. And then when you go to perform this, what just happened there? Oh, I put search. Sorry. First, you want to hit add new thread, and then let me just call it Professor D. And then you're going to say number 1, period. And you're going to hit the symbol, and you're going to just say sigma. I think it was plus minus. I don't remember now. So I'm going to just make something up. T divided by N, right? And then boom. Whoa, if I can spell sigma correctly, sigma, and then you'll get it, right? So make sure you type those exactly, because you're not going to get credit if it's not exactly what you're being asked to do. All right. So once you get through the getting started, then there's another tentative schedule, pretty similar to what you have in your syllabus. But again, it's just another location to where you can see the due dates of everything that's due for the 8 weeks that we are in contact with one another. All right. So once you get all of that situated, you'll have announcements every Monday and Friday. On Monday, it'll tell you what's coming up and what's due for the week. And on Fridays is, just giving you guys some encouragement. I try to encourage as much as I can. I understand that you may think you're by yourself as you're working in this class, but really you're not. I'm here to support you every way I can. I'm here to motivate you. I'm here to help you. All right. Now, what I'm not here to do is I'm not here to work hard on you. So you have to put in the work. Okay. But I'm definitely here to guide and try to make this as painless as possible. All right. So once you get into the chapters or the week to week informational statistics that we're going to look at, I have provided you with a couple of different things. So first things first, the textbook for that entire chapter will always be at the front. So if you just click on the download, this will be the whole chapter 1.1 through 1.4, right? And then I will also break it down per chapter to where this is only chapter 1.1. So you don't have to worry about getting information from 1.2, 1.3, or 1.4, right? So you will read through this information, skim through this information, writing down, taking notes. These notes are for you. These notes are for not for me. Okay, so all of our quizzes and our final is open note. So you want to make sure you're taking really good notes. You do not have to do the homework on the last page. Okay, this is it just in case you want more practice, and those answers are provided for you in our wall map shell. Okay, so if you don't like reading books, okay, PowerPoints can be a little easier to go through. Plus, they're a little more interactive because you have examples in which you can go through and make sure you're understanding the information. But the PowerPoint is going to be just like the book, the pretty much the same information, maybe a change in the examples. All right, and then most of the sections have a video where either myself or the author of the book, or I think I might even have a couple of videos from one of the other stats instructors, just so that you guys can hear it explained slightly differently. But I mean, it's all the same information, but sometimes somebody use keywords that may help you with understanding the material a little better. So I don't want to shortchange you if I think that someone has done it slightly different from me that is explaining the same information. All right. So use either three of these information gathering sources so that you can take your reading notes, and your reading notes is going to be for every chapter there. Right. And so when you click on this, it's going to remind you that these should be handwritten. So in your reading notes, all I need is 4 facts from you from the reading, either 4 facts, 4 examples, 4 concepts. All right. If you give me 5, I'm going to give you 1 extra credit point per reading assignment. So you can automatically earn 125% on your reading notes, right? So you can be in front, above the game, right? Now, when you go to upload your reading notes, I do a lot of grading from my phone because as you guys are working online, I don't just sit at my computer all day. All right. So if I get a ding on my phone that something is in there, I want to, grade that stuff from my phone so that you can get it graded as quickly as possible. Now, the way I want you to insert your reading notes or your handwritten notes when you're doing quizzes is that I want you to click on the image. All right. Once you click on the image, click on the source, and then it's going to ask you to choose a file. This is super easy if you're on your phone, right? Because you had just took the picture. And so once you get that picture on there, I got a picture. I'm actually a high school football coach. It's one of my flag football girls. I didn't mean to put her on there, but that's the picture I chose. So that's fine. Now, if you have a second picture, right? If you keep this blued out, your picture that you just put in there, and you go to select another picture, you're actually going to, I don't know what this is. You're actually going to delete the first picture and just replace it with another picture, right? So if you have 2 pages of notes, okay, which some people do, you got to make sure you click off of the page that's in there and just press enter before you go to your second page. All right. And then once you go to your second page, you go in there, you find it again. And then whatever that information is, if I click on something here, just get it uploaded, and then bow. You got your 2 pages of notes. All right. Once you get your 2 pages of notes on there, you can go ahead and submit that information. And then it's up to me to grade it now. All right. So once you've done that, you are ready to get to the homework. All right. So again, once you get into the homework, um, like I said, if you miss a question, right? Let me just try to guess this. Let's say you want to submit this and you miss this, right? You can get the answers and you can either, even see a video that will help explain why you're missing that. You can always post this to one of our forums where you guys can answer each other questions. Right around week 4, I send out a message where I say, hey, I'm going to give extra credit points to whoever answered the questions in the forum first. Again, just another opportunity for people to explain how they're understanding information, but also to give them extra credit for doing that. But once you like kind of figure out, oh, okay, I know how to do it now you want to try and get similar, right? Like if I continue from here and I get these all correct, I'm gonna get deducted 25%. So there's a big difference in this. So if I just solve this real quick, let me solve this really quick. Percentage of all is parameter, percentage of the 500 statistic. Mode of travel is my variable. All Arizona workers is population, and Arizona workers individual. All right, so watch my points. You see how I only got 3 points instead of 4? But if I try get similar, okay, now I can get a similar question. Is coincidentally, this is the same question. That's not always going to happen. Trust me. But now you can get full credit. I can get actually the 4 for 4 out of this question. All right. So that is going to be the process each week, right? So each week you're going to determine, some people look at all of this information. Some people say, hey, like once you get going, I go straight to the videos, I go straight to the PowerPoint, or I go straight to the reading. It's whatever floats your boat on how you want to get the information. Each week there's going to be a quiz. Again, the quiz will open at 10 a.m. the day prior that it's due. Okay, and you will have until 11:59 p.m. that day to get the quiz submitted. All right, so one thing about the quizzes is that some of it will ask you to, it's going to be in Walmart, but some of it will be like your reading notes where you have to upload your handwritten work on how you found the solution. Okay, so make sure you are paying attention to that. So that will be the same. We do skip chapter 5, and then you'll have your final information, your information on your final, which is going to be down here. I provide you with some test functions for your calculators. So you can, again, this is something you can use for your notes. Later, you're going to understand what the importance of all of these different functions are as we're going through statistics. You're going to have some information that's going to open up prior to the exam, so you know what's going on with the final. And then you're going to have the final exam. You got yet another calendar, right? So that you know when things are due, right? You have plenty of resources in which you have those. All right. And then lastly, you have this towel where if you want to ask those questions about the homework, you can ask them here. Do not post questions about the quizzes. If you do, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give you a 0 on the quiz. And then there's always a general form if you have some questions about the course, if you have, questions like that, how to read your grade book. So that is something that can be a little tricky when you look at this grade book. So I'm John Doe. This is me, right? So when I click on, like, this is what you're going to see when the grade book is up, right? So you're going to see a past due, then you're going to see a past due and available. So this past due and available, that is going to be your current grade. Okay. Once we get to the end of the quarter and you take the final, this past due and past due available, they're going to be the same grade. All right. So don't let those confuse you as you go through this information. But there is a way in which you have a resource to help you read the grade book if you get confused on that. We have tutoring. Tutoring is available. I got to go in here and change all of these marks because it's no longer called the mark, but it's in the same place. The hours should still be the same. We also have free tutoring, 24 hours, 7 days a week via Zoom. That information is there. Here are some more links to that again that are just resources to help you. If you want the entire book is here. Okay. I'll make sure that these textbook homework answers are available if you are deciding that you want to do the homework in the textbook as well. And then there's going to be optional videos that's just more information on the different context of the textbook. All right. So, whew, take a breath, take a breather. You're here now, right? Now we just got to figure out a way, that to levy our schedules during the summer, especially as it's getting nice out. Procrastination is real. Okay, so we got to understand, like, how can we manage our time so that we are able to get through this course. Okay, and use me. I am a resource. I am your instructor. Make sure you use me as we work through this summer. All right, have at it. Talk to you shortly.